Hey, in today's video, let me show you how to create this button animation using Motion.Page. So first and foremost, if you open the page that's page that you want to do, so first we're going to create our first main structure. So the issue with the old sections and columns is creating inner sections are pretty difficult. There is too much work in creating that, but we will still try and do that today because we need inner sections to be able to create the animation that I showed you. With the button, what we're going to use over here is going to be like an icon. So put one icon inside, and then the next thing to do is to have a button, and then duplicate. Let's style this first. So go to SVG. We need an arrow, so I'm going to go here and then take this arrow and paste it over here. Okay, nice. So that is the arrow. I'm going to change the background of the main section. So click on the main section, go to style, go over here and then just change this one to, but let's reduce this to yellowish. Yeah, so this should be good. All right, so we already have our back to creating this. So we already have our SVG uploaded, the arrow. So we're going to go to style. In the style, we're going to give it a size of 24. That should be good. And then come to advanced. In the advanced section, now we're going to give it, change the width to inline. So now it gives you, like, as I said, with the inline, it only takes the width of the size of the element that you have uploaded. So after doing that, then we're going to give it patterns. So let's give it a pattern of probably 10. Okay, 10 is not the best. Let's see 20. All right, 20 should work. But the top of this is pretty smaller than the bottom of the icon. So I'm just going to give it like the top a little more space. There's an issue with Elementor, so you just have to take that with a grain of salt. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to come to background. I'm going to give it a background color. Let's give a background color of ivory white. That is good. And then we're going to go into, we need a border. So we're going to go into the border. And then I'm going to say, give it a border of, let's change from pixel to percentage so that we can give it like a round border of 100. All right, good. So as you can see, the left side of the background looks squished, and the right side the top and the bottom looks a bit more. So what we're going to do is give the left and the right a bit more. Let's say give this a 30. All right, so probably a 25. That seems to be a good circle. Yeah, it looks good. All right, that's good. So the next thing to do is come in here and then do the button. So we're going to go and copy. Let's copy that. Come back over here. Change the text for the button to that. The next thing to do is go back into style. Give it probably this of a 20, right? And then change this to ivory white. Change the color of the text to black. And then let's go into typography and then make this around like 600 so we can see this nicely. All right, the text doesn't look good, so I'm gonna go in and look for something that has, let's look play fur. All right, look. All right, this should be good. All right, this is good. So we have the background on it. We're going to give it a radius of 25. And then let's change the width, go to advanced, and I'm going to change the width into inline. After that, we're going to make sure that it's vertically aligned to the middle. So you can see that the height of this circle button is longer than this. So we're going to make sure that both of them have the same height. Go back to style when you click on the button, and then the pattern, let's give this a 40. Okay, 40 is too much. Give this a 30. Okay, probably let's do 25. Okay, 25 should be good. So the next thing that I might want to do is go to the left hand side, probably give this a 30, and then the right hand side give this also a 30. All right, so that should be good. So next thing is to copy this, paste it here. It looks like the width of this is not good enough, so probably give it like 400. Okay, 400 seems to be too much, but okay, let's go back to the main. It has, let's say, no gap. Good. Okay, give it no gap, and then we go back to the structure and give it 350. Okay, so it seems to be good now. So 350 seems to be a better with the no gap. So I'm just going to give it a pattern on the top of, let's say, 30. I'm not going to use pattern just for design sake. We're going to give it a top of 20, a bottom of 20, nicely like that, and then we save it. So this button will need a bit more, let's say 50, to give it a good round. All right, so the top and the bottom still needs, okay, the top, let's say 30 for that, and 30 for that. Yeah, I think this works nicely. Good. Okay, so now we've been able to finish designing this button. So the next thing that we're going to do is give it a class. So first, let's give the container, the inner section, the column in the inner section, the inner column, we're going to give it a container. We're going to give it a class of SVR, which stands for service dash BBT, which stands for the button, dash COL, which stands for column. So that is how we're going to name it. We're going to use that same structure to name everything over here. So we're going to say, we've given this column a class. We're going to know the reason for that. And then after that, we're going to also click on this, the left hand side icon. I'm going to say SVR dash BBT dash left. Just copy that, make it simple. And then we click on this button, go to advanced, and then we're going to give this a class, paste that class that we copied, delete this, and then we can name. So this is the main button, so we're going to leave that as service button. The next thing is to click on the last button over there, and then go to advanced, paste the class, change the left to right. Let's go back to our dashboard, and then go back into the back end, and then we're going to click on Motion.Page. If you already have a home page set, I'm going to see this. So the first thing that you need to do is to create a new timeline if you don't already have your animation started. So you're going to start saying a new timeline. So a new timeline is going to open. After that, make sure that you find the page that you want to work on. The page that we want to work on is called button. So we click on that. All right, so we have our button page over here. Then we're going to give our timeline, which is this animation that we're going to do. So there's a whole timeline. We're going to give this timeline called button. All right, so that should be good. Okay, so as I said, everything over here is logics. So make sure that you have your logic set. We are doing an interaction. So interaction is like hover and then click. So those are called interactions. So you don't have to do page event or scroll trigger interaction. So you click on interactions, and then over here it gives you the the options to either tell it whether it is a click or a hover. Ours is a hover, so you click on this and then choose hover. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we need to give it a target. Let's say when I hover on this, I want this to move to the left and right. When I hover on this, I want this to change. So that is the next thing that we need to find out. So we need to say that we need to find the trigger that is going to cause this animation to work. So going back to our design, let me show you. So if you remember, we gave this column a class of SVR, BBT, and COL. So that will be our trigger, because when you go back to this, you know that when you hover on the last icon, the animation works. When you hover on this, the animation works. So it means that the animation has been applied to a container here. The trigger for the animation has been applied to a container here. So that's the same thing that we're going to do. So we're going to go in here and say that, go back to Motion.Page, and then we're going to target that container. So we're going to say, let's try and find it. If we can't find the container by clicking, we'll just need to do that manually. So let's go here and then copy the class. Go to Motion.Page. We're here. Since this is a class, you want to put a period sign and then you paste the class name. All right, so that is good. So now we have set that, and when we hover on this column, the animation should work. Good. So the next thing over here is mouse leave. So let's say when you hover and you remove your mouse, what do you want to happen? Do you want the animation to restart the animation? You want the animation to reverse the animation? You want the animation to reverse after each time? So what we're going to choose is animation, reverse animation. So we're just going to do like this. And when we move away, the animation should work. Or just come here. You see when you hover, the animation, that's happened. When you move it away, the animation stopped working. So go back to Motion.Page. That's the same thing that we're telling this. So when we remove the hover, let the animation stop. Okay, so that is that. So next thing down here is the animation itself. So you can just open and close, make things cluster free. Okay, so we're just going to say that our first thing that we're going to do is move 1, 2, 3. These 3 buttons, we want to move everything to the left hand side. Okay, so go over here and then click on this. All right, so this is the class that we gave it. Next, then click on that, come over here, click on this. So you can see the class in this, we can't see it. So there is a little issue with Elementor and Motion.Page, in that sometimes you won't be able to even see the classes that you need to select. One workaround that I saw was you can come in here, let's say the button, and then you can go to advanced and you can give it, let's say, an ID. So let's say SRV-BTT. So you can give it an ID. Make sure you save it. Go back to Motion.Page, refresh here. And then let's try and see whether we'll be able to find that. Right. So it still doesn't work even with that workaround. So the next thing that we're going to do is just come in here, copy the class, and go here and then put in that and just click on that. The next then is to select the last one, which is this. Boom. All right. So as you can see, we've been able to select 3 classes which represent 3 elements. So 1, 2, 3. So when you put it, you see it highlights it. This one highlights that, and then this also highlights this. So we have 3 classes selected. Why are we doing this? Because we want to push everything in this box to the left. Just like how you see over here, everything, you don't see that icon. You don't see it unless you hover on it. So next thing that we're going to do is to move everything in this container. We want to move it to the left hand side. And when we move it to the left hand side, we want this button to be hidden. For us to achieve that, we need to have the inner section, the column inside the inner section, it needs to disappear. That when this moves to the left, everything in this column needs to disappear. For us to achieve that, Elementor didn't give us the option to choose overflow on the column in the inner section. Even when you apply overflow to the main inner section, like when you click on this and give it an overflow, it's still going to show it. So you need the overflow to apply to the inner section. But there's none is, we don't have the option over here. So you have to add it manually. So manually, you click on the inner section and then you go to advanced and you go to custom CSS. You select this inner section that you have over here. And then you type in selector. You open your curly brackets and then you put in this code, which is overflow hidden. So that anything that moves from left to right or right to left that is above this 350 threshold that we've set, it should be hidden. So going back to Motion.Page, if I should now put in minus 100, you can see that everything has moved from the right to left, and everything on the left hand side that went above the 350 is now hidden. So we don't want to hide everything. We just want to hide the circle. So we're going to give it a 50 pixel first. 50 pixels is not it. 75. All right. Make sure that it's hidden nicely. All right, good. So now, okay. So now, you see, when you hover, it shows. And hover, it shows. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is to make sure that we have a nice animation. You see, when you hover on this one, it looks like it is zooming out from the left hand side. So that is what we're going to do. Go back to Motion.Page. This whole animation, we want to make sure that when it is coming out, it is zooming in. So we're going to use scale to do that. So we click on the scale. Before we even do that, we're not going to apply. As you can see, this thing over here, I should probably, what are they going to call that? Let's call it a play time or a play line. This play line over here has the whole button, which is the three buttons, the 1, 2, 3. But we want the zoom to affect only this one, the one on the left hand side. So what we're going to do is go in here and then we can right click on the first play line and then duplicate it. When we duplicate it, we're going to go back in and then we're going to delete the old animation, which is like the scale. We're going to delete the scale. And then we're going to also remove the other selectors, which is the SVRTT and the SVRBTT right, because we want it to affect only the left hand side. All right, so after doing that, we're going to go into scale. I'm going to give it a scale of 0. That is the first thing. So let's see what happens. As you can see, so you can see that it is scaling while it is coming in. But you can see that there's a huge space between these two scales. You see this space in between here? Let me show you. You see that the space in there. We don't want that to happen. We want this to scale and still be attached to that. Go back over here. You can see when the scaling is attached to that. So go and then, come back to Motion.Page. All right, so this has been selected. The SVRBTT left has been selected. Make sure it's still selected. And then we're going to go into something called Transform Origin. So transform origin says that, let me show you over here. So everything that you have has an origin. It's either it's on the left hand side, the right hand side, the top, the bottom, the center, and in between. So what we are going to do is that we're going to tell the animation that we want the transform to be on the right hand side. So 130 for that. So let's see what happens. All right, you see that? So now the animation is happening from the right hand side instead of happening from the left hand side from the beginning. So if I delete this and then I hover, you can see that it is animating from the left part of this. But we don't want that. We want it to animate from the right part. So we're going to move this all the way here to 100. Make sure this is at 50. Good. So boom, like that. All right, so the next thing is to do the animation for the right one, since we've done with the left. So we just go back over here and then we duplicate that, come back in, delete the old animation, make sure that the left one is removed, the middle one is removed. So now we have this, as you can see, it's been highlighted. And then we're going to say that we want it to scale. Okay, so with this, instead of doing the from, we're going to do to, because we want it that when we hover on it at the end of the animation, we want that to happen. So we want to say that we want it to scale to 0. We want it to scale to 0, and then we want it to also have an origin on the left hand side instead of the right hand side. All right, we might also push it a bit, but let's see how the animation looks now. Great. So the animation scales to 0. All right, so I believe we are almost at the end of this tutorial. The next thing that we are going to do is to make sure that this animation is fast as they have it over here. So go back to Motion.Page, and then we're going to give it a power. We're going to change the easy ease on this to a power of 1. Change this one also from easy ease to a 1. Okay. Let's do none. We don't have to do that. So make sure that we choose this, because that is where the animation is. Choose a 1. Choose this one to a power of 1. This one. All right, good. And then we're going to shorten the length of this animation, because this one takes 1 second to do, which is pretty slow. We want it to be faster, so we're going to give it 2-second animation. That is what do you call it? I think that is a 20th of a second. Yeah, so 0.2 is probably a 20th of a second. So you want it to be like a 20th of a second. So go back here. Go back to this. Great. All right. And then we're just going to go here and then. So that is how you create this animation using Motion.Page. So the Motion.Page is not just like for other fanciful flowing around animation. You can do most of the things that you see on this page. Like this thing moving all the way from, like even this where the arrow goes from left to right, you'll be able to do that. I can do a tutorial on that too. But this whole image in the background moving from left to right by just hovering on something, you can do that too. So this is there's the end of the tutorial. If you like what you've seen on this channel, and if you want to see more tutorials, something more beautiful, if you even have a suggestion, you can leave the suggestion in the comment below. If you like what we're doing on this channel, you can subscribe, you can share, you can tell a friend to tell a friend. As always, my name is Nyakon. This is Obi Studios.